Imagine if you are stuck on the side of this road with traffic, not only in your vehicle, your mode of transportation, but also where you sleep every day. Welcome to Trucking Tuesday. I'm Jen, and we're going to be talking in a multi-part series about truck and trailer breakdown. This week, we'll be focusing on trailer breakdown. If you don't know me, I work in the trucking industry in the office, and I am part of the after hours crew, which means we handle all the problems. Drivers don't call us unless they absolutely need something, aka they have a problem. And one of the biggest problems that drivers call us about is trailer breakdown. So let's talk about this today. So, trailer breakdown can happen at any number of places: a shipper, a receiver, the yard, and most likely it happens on the road, which is, of course, the most dangerous. What's the number one cause of trailer failure? Tires. Tires blow, they get punctured, they become flat, they fail for any number of reasons. And sometimes there's rim damage, mud flap damage, all kinds of things. The most disastrous tire breakdown is a blowout. This is incredibly dangerous for the driver and other motorists on the road because even the best of drivers can lose control of the vehicle, both the truck and the trailer, when there's a catastrophic blowout. And blowouts can happen for any number of reasons. Maybe the tires are bad. Maybe the tires have an unknown failure to them, such as a small puncture that's just gotten slowly worse. Weather. We're going into summer here in the United States. Hot weather causes a lot of tire problems. Other reasons, the tread may be separating, and sometimes the tread peels off, and that can also cause a blowout or just failure of the tire in general. Recap tires, the tread will separate sometimes when they're ending their life. What's a recap tire, you may ask? A recap tire is a tire that the original tread has been taken off because it's old and worn out, and a new set of tread is placed on the tire. A lot of companies, including mine, use these for two reasons. One, they're less costly than new or virgin tires, and two, they're better for the environment because they give a second life to these tires. But like anything, they can fail, the tread can separate. You may have seen hunks of tire, not actual round tires, but flat pieces of tread in big chunks. That's typically recap that's come off. So any kind of tire failure is a huge problem, and it's the number one complaint we get about tires. The next number about trailers, the next number one complaint that we get about trailer failure would be the tandems not sliding. And the tandems are what actually controls where the tires sit, is the simplest way to explain it to you. So trailers have the legs at the front, and then they have typically two sets of tires, a front axle and a back axle. And each side of that axle typically has two tires. If you have super single trailers, then they'll only have one huge kind of fat tire on each side. But most of the trailers in the industry these days, including the ones my company uses, has two tires on each side. And the tandems will slide back and forth, and this is for a couple of reasons. One, to adjust the weights, and two, to help stabilize the trailer. When the tandems can't slide, a driver can't scale out. Also, that certain shippers and receivers can't position and stabilize the trailers properly on their dock, so they won't accept the trailer. So if the tandems don't slide, got to get those repaired. Next kind of failure can include airbags, anything with the air system, so any of the air hookups between the truck and the trailer. When those fail, those are usually a huge mechanical problem, especially if it happens at night. Not everybody is willing to work on those. Brakes are another big failure. You can have the brake chambers themselves fail. The brakes can go out just like they can on your car. There's any number of things. And again, that's a mechanical issue, and those tend to be harder to deal with at night. Other things that can go wrong. You can have lights. Trailers have what we call marker lights that you'll see at the top all the way around and at the bottom of the trailer. This makes the trailers visible for other motorists to see on the road. Any one of those go out, you need to get those repaired. Brake lights, turn signals, all of those can fail. Any other electrical systems on the trailers can fail. If you have a reefer trailer, we'll talk about that in a separate video. There's all kinds of electrical things that can happen with those. But any kind of electrical system and connection between the truck and the trailer, which is where the trailer gets its electric from, along with its air, those connections can fail as well, both on the trailer and or the truck. And sometimes diagnosing where the problem happened to start can be a little bit of a challenge. So why worry about some of what these things that might seem minor, like a door that doesn't latch or lights that are out? Most failures with trailers are not just an inconvenience, they're also against DOT regulations and the law. So any kind of defect on the trailer needs to be handled immediately. These can cause bigger problems, and like I said, they're against the law. The driver could get put out of service, ticketed, or both. So any kind of issue with the trailer needs to be handled immediately. Good drivers will inspect their trailer anytime they get a new trailer, anytime they get loaded or unloaded, and anytime they stop for the day. Lots of drivers that I consider top notch will even check when they fuel, just because you don't know what's happening out there on the road. You drive through construction, you drive through different temperature zones, and there's just a lot of stuff on the road that can damage your trailer. So the better inspection time that you take, the less chance you have of problems down the road. Even with the best of maintenance, trailers can have issues. So how do those issues get solved? So what happens when a driver has a breakdown? Hopefully they have somebody that they can call who's going to be a friendly voice to walk them through the process. In the case of me and my job, our after-hours crew handles all breakdown calls and gets the driver safely back on the road as quickly as possible. And that starts with the basic information. What's wrong, what failed, and where are you? So hopefully the driver is able at bare minimum to get safely off the road. We prefer drivers to get completely off the highway, off to an exit, a parking lot, a truck stop. Sometimes that's not going to happen. In the case of an airline failure, a catastrophic blowout, or something just completely unsafe to drive, the driver's going to have to stop on the roadside, and we'll have to bring the service to them. And in that case, we need to know where you are, any mile markers, any location identifiers that we can get, and those will all help the service truck get to you that much sooner. We also try to make sure that the driver can't possibly limp it if at all possible. For example, even on a blown tire, if the load's not too heavy and the closest truck stop or closest place just to get safely off the road is just a few miles down the road, if the driver feels comfortable, we would encourage them to do so, but it's ultimately up to them and what they feel safe doing. So how do we get service to you? Usually we try to use major truck stop service such as Love's or Flying J, who have service trucks usually 24/7 in most areas who can come out to you pretty quickly. If that's not an option, we'll start looking. There's national websites that do search engines for you based on the kind of breakdowns such as tire, electrical, major failures such as brakes, mechanical work, and you can kind of go from there. If you're in the middle of the desert in New Mexico or the middle of Oklahoma in the middle of the night, service is going to be hard pressed to find sometimes, just because it's difficult to find service even in big cities sometimes if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But we will always do our best to get you back on the road quickly. And like I said, if we try to get you to an actual service facility, if at all possible. If not, we'll find somebody that can come to you. There's plenty of services out there that will be happy to do whatever they can to get you off the road, even if that means taking the trailer to a shop to do more work later. Sometimes in the case of an accident or some pretty catastrophic damage, the trailer will have to be towed, but we'll cover that in an accident video and in more detail. But the goal is, like I said, to get the trailer repaired enough to get you back on the road. In the case of a driver being put out of service, service has to come to them, or the trailer will have to be towed, or another driver will have to come get it. If a driver is put out of service for trailer violations, that trailer cannot move under its own power, aka someone driving it, until the repairs are made and it satisfies the requirements of whatever put it out of service. So usually that doesn't happen if the trailers are well maintained and the drivers are doing good inspections. But like I said, things do happen. And that's the point of this all. Most things that go wrong with trailers are just accidents. It's just, things happen. Parts get old, they fail. You could run over something, and it just is what it is. But in the case of failure because the trailer hasn't been maintained properly, that ultimately falls down on the owner of the trailer and the drivers, because everyone should be doing their part to keep up with the trailer maintenance and inspections. Daily inspections by the drivers and daily and yearly inspections by the maintenance crew who owns the trailers. So, trailer breakdown, like I said, it can be a huge break in a driver's day and really shut them down. But the best thing that we can do for them is get them fixed safely and with quality service so that it doesn't happen again and they're running safely and legally as soon as possible. Thanks for joining me today on this episode, guys. Next week, we'll be talking about truck breakdown, which in some ways is similar to trailer breakdown, but it also has a lot more moving parts. Thanks for joining me. If you're a professional driver, I would love to hear from you, and I would love to talk to you about your stories about being on the road. And if you have any questions about the trucking industry, feel free to reach out at any time. My email is on my channel homepage. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.